All right, welcome into the BFR Podcast presented by Sports Mockery. My name is Dave. You can follow me on Twitter at Dave_BFR. Actually, on most socials. I'm joined by my co-host Ficky. You can follow him on all socials at It's Ficky Baby. Also, check out his music as well. We have the link in the description for the video. Not many people know, but he is an artist too, outside of just football takes. And then, of course, you can check out all my work. Hey, Ficky.
Yeah, you good?
Yeah, I'm like hearing the sound. My bad, guys. I'm hearing
Okay,
like
no, you're
twice.
good. You're good.
Yeah.
No, you're good. You're good.
Anyways, I was like, why am I hearing my
glitching? No, you're good.
Yeah. Hey. Okay, there we go. I think we got it settled. So, anyways, perfect. Oh my God, it was weird hearing like an echo, man. It was like I was in like a Twilight Zone almost.
Yeah,
but
you don't want that.
anyways, you can check out all my work on sportsmockery.com. And of course, we have the Bears versus Falcons. So, final 2 games of the season. This one, we can kind of debate it. It might be the most important. We'll get to that in a second. Before I do, Ficky, man, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing good. You know, holidays were nice. No family drama. Got to eat some good food. And then if you saw on my Instagram, I put together that 5,200 piece Avengers Tower, which took me like 18 hours. But yeah, so I'm.
You don't have that near you, do you? You can't.
No, I do. I do. I don't know if my camera will get to it. Let me see. I'll try to rig this real quick and let me see if
it's pretty sweet. I saw it on there.
Let me see if that. Look at that. Isn't that crazy?
How long did that take?
18 hours. Jeez. Way too long is the correct answer. But yeah, that's what my past couple of days have been. So.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Fun though.
Anyways, shout out to you though. I love Legos, man. Yeah, I mean, it was great. I got a bunch of Bears stuff. Surprisingly, I wasn't expecting it. Actually, I'm repping this. I think I tweeted this one out. Just a little hoodie, nice. Crew neck. Got a hat or two. I got a t-shirt and then a couple more hoodies and stuff. So, I mean, I love hoodies. You can't go wrong with them. Overall, Christmas was fantastic. I mean, the Bears won.
We'll take that.
Which is kind of nice to say. We know we doubled our wins from last year. So, but honestly, great. Today's pod, we have the Arizona versus Falcons versus Bears. I want to get to that. Obviously, there's only so much you can talk about with this one because the Bears, they are still in the playoffs. I think there's 18 teams in the NFL that still have a shot to make the playoffs, which is like, I think it's a record. I think when I saw that tweet,
crazy,
which is cool. However, the Bears are one of the low. I think it's like 1%, maybe 3%.
Still
a lot of things have to go right. Yeah, I've seen they were in that hunt graphic. I think it was on NBC. But anyways, long story short, you can only go so much into this matchup. We can get there. Fick, I know you have some details on it. So first of all, if you just want to I guess we'll go through there because I did tweet out a question on Twitter. I said, hey, drop some good Bears questions. Try to make them tough, interesting, unique. And we got a bunch. As of right now, I have over 70 plus questions. I don't know if we can get to them all. We'll do our best. And there might be a couple that have doubled up. So we'll see. We'll go through those here in a second. But first, Ficky, you want to kind of just break down the Falcons, what they're bringing to the table?
Yeah. So the Falcons, it's an interesting matchup because this might be the audition tape for Justin Fields with this Falcons team. Because when you look at this Falcons team, they have weapons on both sides of the ball. Right, are great players. I don't know if you really say weapons on defense, but their defense is pretty top notch. It's the highest graded run defense according to PFF. They have allowed in the last 4 games only 16 points. They've held in the last 4 games passers under 200 passing yards. Right, so they have a very solid defense. Now, if you flip it on the other side, right, we talked about it last week. They don't have the best play calling necessarily, but also play calling is tied to how good your quarterback or quarterbacks are, and they've had a mix of Taylor Heineke and Desmond Ridder. Desmond Ridder alone has lost them so many games. I was watching one game where they're literally marching down the field to win the game, and he throws like a dumb red zone pick. Like, it was horrible. Not like Fields won last week where you can kind of understand it. It's just like it doesn't really make sense. But to summarize it, they have very bad QB play. Right? They do not have a good QB, but if you look at their weapons, of course, they got Kyle Pitts, who they don't feed enough, but he's a dog. They got Bijan, who had a great game last week, and we all know how good Bijan is. They have Drake London as a wide receiver, who was one of the first-round picks out of USC, who's been playing well and had some spectacular catches this season. And then Algier, I think that's running back 2. He had a great game last week as well. So it's a very interesting matchup because it's like, if Fields is not on this team next year, and I know we have to go back to this quarterback conversation again, is Atlanta the team that is probably the best fit for it, right? Because they have the defense already. They've got weapons around him. All they're missing is like adequate, right? Adequate QB play. And Fields easily will give you adequate QB play. It's not like he's garbage.
Right. At the bare minimum, he's adequate, correct, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
And then you have those games where we've seen this year, Denver, Washington. You can even say last week, outside that interception, it was overall a really good game. That's what I'm saying when it comes to Justin. If everything's kind of better around him, which could be next year if they keep him, we've talked about it, adding weapons and what we can do. And I'm sure we'll have questions that we'll get into that more in depth. But yeah, I was shocked when I was looking at the stats here with Atlanta. Their defense is legit. It's top 10 according to PFF. Their run defense, let's see here, just the numbers here. I know you went over a bunch of it, but the run defense is what was really surprising. 87.9.
Yeah.
That is first in the NFL.
Yep. They have a great, like I said, they've got a great overall team. The record may not show it, but as much as we know with this the NFL, it is a quarterback lead. If you do not have a good, let's go back to 2018 with the Bears, right? Best defense, like a very historic defense turnovers wise. And look how far we got, bounced out of the first round because you didn't have the quarterback play. So if you imagine this team with Justin Fields on it, how strong that could truly be, right? Justin Fields still young, also from Atlanta. It makes sense. Maybe they're the highest bid for it. This is all speculation. But my point is we're going against a team that technically is still in the hunt to win the NFC South, right? Because the NFC South consists of the Bucs, Saints, and Falcons, and they're all around that like 500 range, right? And the Bucs and Saints literally play this week. So one of them is going to lose. And I think if the Falcons win out and get some help, they could literally make the playoffs. So this team is looking to try to get a win. And this is not going to be as easy as a matchup as, the Panthers or as last week, right? Mm-hmm. Where Arizona had one of the worst defenses in the league. And we saw how Justin Fields underperformed in that one. So it'll be interesting as well, too, because our defense is ranked 30th against pass catching running backs. And as I mentioned, right, Algier and Bijan are very much pass catching running backs. So it'll be interesting to see if we can stop that. Now, we know our defense as a whole has been playing well, right? We've only allowed, even though the Falcons have only allowed 16 or less in 4 games, we've allowed 20 or less in 4 games. So I feel like there's really going to be a battle of the defense. If Fields plays like above adequate, like above average, right? And maybe it doesn't have to go as crazy as like Denver, like his best games, but like better than last week, then maybe, we could pull out a win in this one. But the question is, right, does Fields do that? Fields in the past 4 games has had a passer rating of 90 or under, which is not great, right? I think last week he had 71. So, he's not horrible. He's not losing the games, but he hasn't really done like crazy numbers when it comes to the passing aspect recently. So, this will really be a test for our team against I would say a solid team, someone near 500, not great, but solid. And we'll have to see if Fields can break out because, again, this could be an audition for the Falcons. So if I'm Fields, right, no matter what, obviously these players want to play well. But if let's just say there's in your head, you're like, I want to be in Chicago. If not, there's probably only one other place I want to go to, and that would be the Falcons, right? Go back home to Atlanta where he's from. It just seems like a good situation, right? If that's the case, and we know this, he probably knows this, he probably is there's going to be a little bit more motivation for him to ball the fuck out this week against that team. So maybe that's what we'll see. I think it'll be beneficial for both of us, not the QB controversy conversations we have to have, but it's going to be an interesting matchup. It's just not going to be as easy as what you'd expect versus the Cardinals last week.
No, man, I agree with all of that. There's so much. I'm very excited about this game. Obviously, it's at home against Atlanta. I think it is an audition. I kind of wrote about that here in an article that will be out tomorrow on Sports Mockery about this being an audition for them. And obviously, it might not be the biggest game in the grand scheme of things for this season, just because of that Browns loss. Because if they found a way to win that, and then we obviously win last week. We're talking about sneaking in, Week 18 being a huge game against the Packers in Lambeau. So I have obviously the title of this one is, this could be the last home game for Justin Fields in Chicago. So before I get to these questions, there's a bunch, getting more as we speak. So I want to get to that as quick as possible so we can kind of get to them, Ficky. But I did have a question of my own that I thought would be fun to kind of play here. And it is with Justin Fields. Obviously an era could be coming to a close. We don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen. None of us really do. And I kind of tweeted about earlier today. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but like there's so much toxicity around this, quarterback, controversy, where to go on socials, especially Twitter. And I tweeted, I said, oh, you want to stick with Justin Fields? Cool. Oh, you prefer Caleb Williams, Drake May? That's cool too. It is not that serious. At the end of the day, we all are going to have our opinions. I don't think you're not going to change. More than likely, I'm not going to change someone else's opinion because that's how they feel. Gut feeling. Right. That's what happens with prospects too. Caleb Williams, Drake May, you may feel that they are better than Justin Fields as a prospect or even right now in the NFL, which again, I'm not going to say it's crazy, but again, these guys have not played a snap in the NFL. It is what it is. So for me, I think it is a weird topic, but for me, the question I have, Ficky, is describe Justin Fields, the Justin Fields era in 5 words or less. And I can give you a minute here, kind of putting you on the spot.
No, I got it. It's right
you got
here.
it already? Okay.
Yep. Unfortunately, not enough time. That's what it is. Because of this first round pick, right? Fields has been progressing, right? Every year he gets better. It hasn't been necessarily at the fastest rate we want, but he's been getting better. And I think he's going to continue to get better. But because our hand is kind of forced with this number 1 pick, right? We are in a weird situation where his timer is cut way short compared to other quarterbacks. At least he would have been able to buy himself 1 more year easily, right? If they didn't even pick up his 1 this year, I think if we don't have the number 1 or number 2 overall pick, the Bears will automatically picked up they've done his 5th year extension, or at least by this offseason. So, but because that first round pick we have for the 2nd year in a row with, I'd say a good prospect, right? Something that you could see is a good option, I should say, right? It's not as much question marks when you think about like a Bryce Young or something like that. Because of that, Fields' timer has gotten cut severely, and it's not giving him I guess fair is the right word, a fair amount of time to really allow him to prosper and grow in this situation. And then obviously we already know that his time was already kind of fucked up because of his rookie year, because that whole season you could basically throw away because it made no sense at all, like from the jump. So really Fields has had 2 years. Well, he's only played 32 games or something like that, or 34, maybe something like that. So 2 seasons out of 3 to really evaluate, while most rookie quarterbacks, you get like 4 to figure that out. So that's why I got to go with, unfortunately, time's too short or time's running out, whatever it is. That's just what
that's a good one. That's really good. Thankfully I didn't have that one, but he has 32 total starts, he's played in 34 games, 32 starts, 34 total games. It's a lot. That's a big sample size. However, it's not, if you throw in context there, rookie season, last year, a tank year, he put the team on his back for a lot of those games. So for me, the route I was going to go had something to do with timing as well. But it was great talent, bad timing. And so the reason I say that is because coming out, Justin was the most talented quarterback I think the Bears have ever drafted. I think that's easy to say. You can make an argument, maybe. I don't even know. I don't think there is really an argument when it comes to Justin. Close. But I think he was a great talent. He still is. But the timing of everything, when he came in with that regime with Matt Nagy and that dumpster fire, the roster aging, they're trying to save their jobs. It was such a weird influx as far as the timing and of everything. So for me, that hurt Justin, his development. Obviously, some bad habits carried over from college, and they weren't really reprimanded or like kind of fixed right away. And so last year alone, he went hero mode a lot. And for me, I'm like, did that, hurt his development as well? Because you saw what the roster was. They tore it down. Poles had to do what he had to do so he can get in this situation. Now, the fruits of that are coming, but it's not really going to help Justin. You just talked about it. Not enough time, because now you have the ability to reset the QB clock. If you like one of these guys, you can draft your guy if you're Ryan Poles. So a lot of things go into there, a lot of play. But for me, I think with Justin, it's just an amazing talent. Gonna root for him. I think he's going to do hopefully a lot of great things. I'll be following him every week, next year. If he's in Atlanta, I'm not saying I'm going to buy his jersey, but I'm definitely going to watch the games. And so for me, just bad timing when he came into the league. And then I think you kind of nailed it too in regards to just time running out, which is crazy to say, but we wouldn't be here if they weren't in the position to lock up the number 1 pick, which the Panthers are. Honestly, this week it really could happen. I wrote an article here about kind of everything kind of falling this way for this week. So first of all, Trevor Lawrence, he practiced today. I think it was in limited fashion, but now he's trending in the direction to start. They're in a playoff spot. You talked about it earlier. Mm-hmm. They're fighting for a playoff spot still for the division. And then you have the Panthers injury list, 14 players on it. A lot of DMPs too, which is crazy. So for me, all in all, there's so much going forward this week. So even if it doesn't really matter what happened with the Bears this week, except for, maybe the audition for Justin, but the Panthers really could lock up that number 1 pick. So, which is great to hear. Cause I don't want to go into the final week when it's my God, like last year.
Yeah, right. We want that. And that was that fashion was crazy because that game was more exciting than our game, that Colts Texans one. But actually worked out in favor for the Texans too, because they got Stroud. But yeah, I think having that number 1 pick is good no matter what. So we need to secure that. And by we, I mean the Panthers need to lose, which they've done 14 times. So just do it one more time. We only need 1 and we should be set, because having that number 1 is going to be great no matter what, if we stick with Fields or if we draft Caleb Williams. We've talked about ad nauseum, but it is definitely important. So
no, absolutely. So I want to get to here, Ficky. We're going to get to our bold predictions for the game later on. What I wanted to do is just bring up our tweet here. Essentially what I did is go ahead and just drop some Bears questions for tonight. We'll finish up with the bold predictions and kind of the rest of the preview for the Falcons versus Bears. I don't know why you want to keep on saying Cardinals. I just have the Cardinals locked in my brain. Maybe. It's the birds.
I mean, they're both red birds.
They're both fucking birds.
Both red
so it's
birds, yeah.
You saw it. I mean, earlier on, so a peek behind the curtain, we were getting everything kind of ready for produce, getting on there, and I had Ficky had the Cardinals. Instead of Falcons, I had had it all mixed up. So
hey, hopefully it's the same result. So maybe that's just good karma out there. Hopefully it's the same result. Yeah.
But anyways, I asked for you guys' Bears questions. You guys threw in some really tough ones, some unique scenarios, which we're going to start right away with our guy Deeks. Deeks View. You can follow him on Twitter. Make sure he still has the same. I
think he does.
Hold on here. Yeah, I think he does too. So Deeks View OG on Twitter. He's been on the pod before, which we need to get him back on, honestly. So I have his question here, or scenario that he kind of put, was Ryan Poles is not impressed with Caleb Williams or Drake May enough to take them number 1, but Justin Fields requests a trade anyways, and we get a late first-round pick for him. So that right there, Justin Fields requests a trade. I guess that's possible, right, Fick?
I would say, because of Justin's character, I would probably say no, to be honest, because if he's only requesting a trade if he knows he's not going to be the starter. You know what I mean? And not saying it can't happen, but he would have to know the writings on the wall, which a lot of times these players don't even know what the GM knows. It's that information's not shared, but I can understand the scenario. It's not too far-fetched, right? Maybe if it was if this was Kyler Murray, maybe I would say that makes sense just from the personality standpoint, but I don't think I can't think aloud. I don't think that's in Justin's character to want to request a trade. But hey, it's the NFL. I've been surprised before, so
yeah.
But also a late first. Who would be the late first? Because it's not going to be a playoff contention team that makes the trade, unless someone like the Falcons win the division, which they could, and they make the trade. But I think most of the NFC division winners. But anyways, I might be looking too deep into it. But
yeah, I don't know. Come on, Deeks. You should have added more context to this. Anyways, so the Bears trade down a few picks, right, for a haul, and they draft. This is the interesting one. They draft Jaden Daniels out of LSU. Very interesting prospect. I believe he is number 4 on PFF's draft board is in regards to quarterbacks, 20th overall PFF rank as far as just the overall prospects in 2024's draft. So all in all, he wants to know, is this scenario a win or a disaster? I'll let you start.
I would say the cop-out would say it's not I don't think it's a disaster because you trade down, you get a haul back.
You get the haul.
You get you get the haul, and you get picks from Justin. You get a first for Justin, which is a win, right? Because you remember that article, was that last week, 7 GMs? The highest we saw was a second and a fourth, right? So if you get a first for Justin, that's a win. If you trade back and get a haul, that's a win. The only loss I would say is the Jaden Daniels, because if I'm going to take a quarterback, you're in the opportunity to pick the number 1 QB. I'm going number 1. Like if I'm not going with Fields, I'm picking who I believe is the number 1 quarterback. And I think who most people think is the number 1 quarterback. That's Caleb Williams, right? So I would say, even though you get a haul for the picks, I would say that's a loss, because now you're going from Fields, right? And we talked about this. If you're going to replace Fields, you want a prospect that is either equal or better, right? I don't know if I'd say Jaden Daniels as a prospect was a better prospect than Justin Fields was in college. I could be wrong. He's probably going to go higher than what Fields went at 11, but I don't know.
Maybe.
It's not a disaster.
He's the number 3rd. He's 3rd on the big draft board, which is, who knows when these quarterbacks might go. He could go top 10. He could go top 20. He could slip. We don't know. I want to pull it up here. So I don't have a lot of Jaden Daniels tape. Like, I've watched him. I know of him. But he's 6'4", 210. He is a senior. His stats, in 2021, he had 10 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. 2022, he had 17 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
Crazy.
But he played 14 games in 2022, 13 games in 2021. So, the jump his senior year is quite impressive, but it is almost alarming because those numbers before are.
Wasn't Joe Burrow kind of like that, though? It wasn't like he had great seasons before.
I don't know what his numbers are, but he went to LSU and he went on.
No, but I'm saying, I think, when Joe Burrow had his breakout year, first of all, he went to Ohio State, didn't play, transferred to LSU. I think his first year in LSU, it wasn't anything remarkable. And then second year at LSU, that's when he went off with Chase and Jefferson.
But for me, it's I feel like he did play a lot. He played 27 games prior to his senior year. That's a lot of reps. Anyways,
he played a lot. I'm not saying. I'm just saying the jump.
His senior year, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, passer rating 143.7. He has a 71.1% completions percentage, 3,811 yards. It's a hell of a.
And there's a great comment here that DBB had. He says, it shows consistent improvement. You know what I mean? So, you look at his numbers, it went 10-10, 17-3, 43, or something like that. So, it's going up, right? We talk about Fields.
That's fair. Yeah.
Improvement. Again, we don't know how these quarterbacks are going to be. So, maybe he is, if he turned out to be the next coming of Mahomes or a great quarterback like that, where we start saying, hey, that quarterback's Daniels then this would be an absolute win. But again, we have no fucking idea how good Jaden Daniels is. But I will say this. He looks pretty good in real life. You put up 40 and 4. I don't care who you are. You played well. I don't care the competition. That's hard to do. So,
no, and I think that comment there is that is correct. I just want I don't know. I'm so nervous about quarterback prospects because I'm we get so unlucky. We either pick the wrong one. We don't make the easy decision when it comes to the Bears. Just never get it right. So for me, to answer this question, I don't think it's a disaster because, one, you get the haul. I think maybe the only disaster part of this is Justin Fields requesting a trade because his character does not, he doesn't seem like a guy or a player or that he may even do this. Maybe his agent, we don't know how it all went down. But for me, if he's requesting a trade, it's probably because the Bears did something either shady or he's just had enough. Either way, that would be a disaster for me because I'm that just doesn't look good when anyone is requesting a trade. I know Jalen Johnson earlier in the season did, but I think it's going to be different if your quarterback, at least right now, currently does that. However, you get a first for him.
Crazy.
That almost makes up for him, having to make a trade request, because I'm like, damn, I don't know how you get a first with that leverage.
That would give us 3 first-rounders.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, I think Jaden Daniels is a fun quarterback. I almost would like to maybe explore the scenario where I don't know where he goes, if he goes later in the draft. So maybe we do trade back, maybe get him with, 10 in between 10, 20 in the first round, maybe have him sit behind Fields. Maybe that's ridiculous too. I don't think you can do that probably.
No.
Right. That would just be,
if Fields is on your team, you have to pay him.
Yeah. And anyways, I don't think it's a disaster. I think it's a fun question though. I appreciate Deeks kind of sending it in there. We had 9 comments. Again, you can check out this thread on my Twitter. I went ahead and tweeted it today. Check it out. There's a bunch of good questions. Everyone was answering each other's questions too, which is hilarious. Like I said, there's 9 questions or 9 comments under Deeks' post here. But we'll move on just for sake of time. DWC, friend of the show, he said, if the over and under on the Bears playoff wins by the end of the season is 3.5, are you taking the over or under?
Oh, playoff wins. I was reading regular season. I'm like, yo, what?
Yeah.
Hopefully over, bro. Like 3 wins. I'm tired of not reaching double digits. Playoff wins by the end of this decade. So that's what, 6 seasons?
We have 6 seasons left.
3.5 wins.
It's a good question.
We have to go to the playoffs at least. That means if we go to the playoffs, the remainder of the time, 6 times, we would have to win 4 times out of 6. Based off Bears history, I'm taking the under.
I mean, that's the only way you can go here. The only way this is over is if they get the fucking quarterback right. Right here, right now. Because I don't think you're going to have, at least in this decade, you're likely not going to have a better opportunity to get a franchise quarterback.
Right. Whether that's Fields falling out next year or Caleb.
Yep, whether that's surrounding, Justin Fields with an extreme, crazy supporting cast like the 49ers or, some of these teams have done with their quarterbacks, or if you do go Caleb Williams and he pans out being, great, best Bears quarterback ever, then I think you can probably, hopefully go over, because I think you have a young core. So for me, just because of, I don't think it's logically, I'm going to say no. It just doesn't seem, it's not in the cards. It never has been, but I'm hoping.
When's the last time that we've won more than 3.5 in a decade? It's probably the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's been that long, guys. Think about it. It's been since the, no. Maybe the 2000s, because the route to the Super Bowl, they had to do 3 to get there, 2. And then they also won an NFC. They also went to the NFC another year. So probably the 2000s. 2000 to 2010 was probably the last time they won 3.5 playoff games. And then prior to that, it was probably the 80s. So it's only happened in 2 decades, and there's been decades in between, like 30 years in between. So yeah, I'm not going above on that if I was a betting man.
So yeah, good question though. Appreciate it, DWC. We'll have to have him. We'll have to have both of those guys on. Maybe we can do like a big crossover pod or something like that with those two and their YouTube channels, because they're great content creators. Check out their work. And of course, we have here Ian.
Wait, Dave, before we go to the next one, we do have a super chat. So for our boy Tito again, appreciate you, Tito. He says, after that USC game, last night shows me Lincoln Riley's system works, and Caleb Williams is not that good, but y'all know I'm all about Justin Fields. # build the team. So what he's referring to was the USC game last night where USC won and Moss had played like amazing, right? And we know that Lincoln Riley, who's the head coach of USC, and he was at Oklahoma, that's why Caleb followed, he has always had quarterbacks thrive in his system. Jalen Hurts when he transferred from Alabama, Kyler Murray when he played over there, right? So quarterbacks do thrive in his system, and it bears the question, is this more of a system or more a quarterback? And my opinion, Dave, and you give yours, I think it's both. Like the system can be beneficial for the quarterback, but I also think the quarterback's good. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I don't know. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Lincoln Riley. Can't even say his name right. Anyways, though, I'm a big fan of his. I think there's a healthy mix. We don't know what. I mean, last week it could have just been a one-off. It could have been a great game. I don't know. I don't like to read into it just because there's not a
One
lot of
game
sample
too.
size.
Yeah.
Exactly. However, it is one thing we do know is Lincoln Riley is legit. He's a great coach, great mind. So for me, I don't know. I can't make a decision on that, but it is interesting. However, I'm not going to go as far as, I've seen, again, Bears Twitter is toxic, man. So I saw some people just going in on Caleb Williams. First of all, not playing one, missing out, the game itself, which I totally understand. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. wasn't even playing, so for me,
a lot of them
I just thought it was exactly. There's a lot of contradiction, outside of, Justin, he was playing in for the playoffs.
Well, that's different.
Big different story, right? Yeah. JJ McCarthy, right now, he perhaps could be a first-round quarterback. He's playing because he's there. He made it to the biggest stage in college football, which I cannot wait for them to expand the college football playoffs. I think that'd
be great. 10
teams, 12 teams. Oh my God.
Great.
Yeah. So anyways, overall, that's all I'm going to say on that one. So,
and Shane Ward, we're just
thank you again, Tito.
Yeah, thank you, Tito. Appreciate that. And we have another one coming up, so I'm about to share that as well. But Shane Ward, I wanted to share this question because we just answered it. But Shane Ward on Facebook said, how you feeling about Caleb Williams after seeing Boss slide it up? But we just answered that. But I just wanted to give you some love. So appreciate the question.
Yeah.
This is a first-time super chat from this person. And I think this might be someone new as well. He's very active in the chat. But John Collins, thank you for being active and being here. Gives us $10. He said, it's obvious Justin is a dynamic B-plus quarterback in the NFL. However, think about it. Jim McMahon is however, if you think about it, Jim McMahon is the last time the Bears had a B-plus quarterback that cares as deeply as he does. Build around Fields. It's obvious. So basically he's saying, look, Fields may not be that A-plus Mahomes type, quarterback who's the MVP year after year or just amazing, but he's good enough. And he obviously cares about his team. This team loves him. Build around him. Right. So, and we've talked about this. This kind of goes to the aspect of like, what you have with Fields in essence, right? You know, he may not be top 10 or top 5, but he is serviceable and can win you games. So, I totally understand that sentiment. And if we didn't have the first round pick, and we keep saying it, this wouldn't even be a question. But go ahead.
No, and first of all, thank you, John. Appreciate it. I'm glad you're here, man. Appreciate, the donation too. That's awesome. So to answer your question, man, John, I'll be honest. I feel I'm in the same boat. I just don't want to argue about it every day, but I definitely feel like leaning here. I love Caleb Williams. I watched a ton of tape on him last week. Really got to dive into it. Great player. Want to give him his flowers. I did it last week. However, just the chance to build a roster out is just so enticing for me because Justin, like you said, John, B-plus, dynamic, the best running quarterback in the NFL, maybe outside Lamar. You can make that argument, either way, both unique players at their position. And Justin, of course, the passer, that's where you have questions. But if you can, I feel like this is the first time the Bears could really build out the roster. Go get that number 1 wide receiver. Continue to bring in young players. You're seeing it right now with the defense, man, because they invested these last couple of years with second-round picks, second-round, players like Brisker, Gordon. I mean, you got Javon Dexter. You got Jalen Johnson, who, obviously, needs an extension. But you have all these players that you addressed and they were needs. And now you could do the same thing with the offense if you trade back. So for me, overall, I don't know if I want to go as far as saying obvious because I think Poles really it's a tough decision to go. There's a lot of pressure here because it's Chicago. You got to get the quarterback situation right. But 2, it's just either way you go is going to basically determine how his legacy is, at least in Chicago. I know he's a young guy, 40 years old, something like that, maybe 38. So maybe he gets a second chance. That's not 100% likely in the NFL in regards to being a GM. But for me, overall, I am leaning towards keeping Fields. However, I would support and I would understand, and I get the appeal to reset the quarterback clock and maybe go with a guy like Caleb Williams. But for me, is he the number 1 guy in this class too, though? Like, is he 100%? I know a lot of people talk about it, but I'm seeing some questions about Drake May. I'm seeing even Jaden Daniels talk, man.
I think the draft is so long away that they need topics to talk about. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I feel like if they've been talking about Caleb May for 3 years now, I mean, he's probably the top guy, but I definitely get it. But either way, you said it's spot on. 2 routes and they both can work. We don't know. Poles has more information, and he does. Obviously, he can't predict the future, but that's the problem. Like I said, if this was Mitch as quarterback and we had the number 1, there'd be no discussion. It'd be like Caleb Williams, you're a Bear, right? But it's not. It's Fields, and you're like, oh yeah, but Fields has done stuff to win games. Yeah. So,
but hey, shout out again, Ty. We appreciate it. That's a great question, though. Great comment.
Great question. Yeah. Also, since I think, John, you're new, remember, if you're new here, go ahead in the comments, give a hashtag new face gang, and we'll go ahead and give you a shout out on the show before it ends. And then also some of you OGs that have been here. First off, thank you for joining, and for the new people as well. Go ahead and give us
a bunch of new and old faces, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Hashtag OG in the comments as well. And we'll make sure to share that. And then obviously, if you enjoy the show, you enjoy me and Dave answering your questions and us talking about this team that's doubled his record from last season, then feel free to give a thumbs up, subscribe if you can. If you never want to miss a show, turn on the notification bell. Make sure you get alerted whenever we do our pre-games, our post-games, special episodes, things like that. So really appreciate it. Thank you all for tuning in. And then Dave, you can go to the next one.
Yeah. So we got a question here from Josh, who is actually a Bucks fan, Bucks writer. He was on the show when we played the Bucks, week 5, week 4? I can't remember. Week 3? I think it was week 3.
Yeah, it was pretty
anyways, he says, how surprising was the Billings breakout and subsequent wait, I don't even know how to say that.
Oh my God, I can't say it either.
Anyways, I know what it is. I've seen it before. It's been a long week. All right. Anyways, breakout. He's talking about the contract extension that Billings received early on in the year. So for me, I think Billings, I don't know. I think we both kind of had a feeling he was going to, I can't remember training camp, but I feel like we were both pretty like, okay, this guy, we see something.
I was like, he doesn't look bad, but I didn't think he was going to
Are you surprised
out as, I mean, that he's been like really good. Yeah.
Dude,
also
22 pressures.
Bro, yeah. On tape, he looks like a monster. Yeah. A lot of TFLs. And I mean, I didn't expect a guy we brought in, what was like a 1-year deal, to like earn a contract. He was one of the first contract extensions this season.
I think he was.
I think it was Komet. Was it Komet and then Billings, or Billings and Komet? But like, come on, that's surprising. You're like, what? We just brought this dude in. So yeah, I'm a little surprised. But I'm happy for him because I think he's been in the league for a minute, like 6+ years. I'm pretty sure. This might be like his 7th or 8th year. So that's like awesome.
Yeah, he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6th season.
Yep. Yo, this is right though. Colt Smith, thank you. Pronunciation is subsequent. That is definitely it.
Subsequent. That's thank you.
Subsequent. Thank you. The English language, bro. Like
subsequent. And I've said that word before, but like I don't know if it's. I don't know. Well,
because you look at it, it's like, why is there a Q in there? Why is even a Q?
We need Colt. We need Colt on the show at all times, just so he can give those little tips there for pronunciation. But yeah, he had 3 seasons with Cincinnati. He entered the league in 2017. Overall, he's a 68.6 PFF grade. Just an outstanding player. So I'm pretty content, pretty happy with him. And his extension was what, another 2 years?
Yeah, I think it was 2.
2 years.
A total of a 3-year deal. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Overall, awesome. So we got another question here, Max.
Wait, Dave, did you miss one before? Talked about the record. Did you see that one? I think you were going to share it, and then we did the super chats. Yeah, that one from
Ian. Oh, my bad. Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah. I'm going to actually – I need to charge. I need to throw on my charger. My charger fell out. Ficky, if you want to do some of the new face games, let me get this on there.
Absolutely. So let's give a shout out to the new face gangs in here. So we have the Bears Den here with the new face gang with Mooney as your Avi. You might have to change that here soon on Twitter, though. We appreciate that. Luis, I think, is it Lewis or Luis? Let me know. But hashtag newbie. We appreciate that on Twitter as well. And yes, I'm calling it Twitter, not X. That's just what I'm doing. John, appreciate it. I thought you were new here. So hashtag new face gang. Really appreciate that. And also thank you for the super chat. That goes a long way. Really appreciate that. Sharif on YouTube, hashtag new face gang. Thank you. Thank you for joining the show. I really appreciate that. And again, if you guys are new throughout the show, go ahead and drop it in. We'll give a shout out, and the OGs as well. We love giving a shout out to you guys because without you guys, our show is nothing. It's just me and Dave talking to each other, and we talk enough. So we really appreciate the interaction and engagement from y'all. Y'all make it fun. So And then also for helping us pronounce words like Colt did. So shout out Colt.
That's the biggest. Yeah.
That's
God knows we need it. Oh man. So, well, Ian over here, which thank you. I don't know how I almost forgot that one, but what would be a record prediction for the Bears in 2024? So this is Justin Fields at quarterback and then Caleb Williams at quarterback. Ficky?
Okay, I think I got this one if you mind me going. I think Justin will get us double digits. So I'm going to say 10-7. Right now, we're going to finish the year possibly. We could possibly get 8 games. If not, we'll probably get 7, right? So that's what a +4 on the margin. So is it too hard to think the following year we could get a +3? And if we hit 8, we're only asking for a +2, which is even more reasonable. So I think 10 is possible. I'm not gonna go higher than that though. If we start getting to 11, 12, 13, that means Fields is the dude, right? Like that's what we went 12-4 in 2018, and we thought
Mitch.
we were, the best team. Yeah, the best team to ever touch earth. So if we can get up to that 11, 12, 13 range, yeah, we're in good company. And then for Caleb Williams, I don't think we get 10. I think we probably get around the same just because it's rookie. You're going to have some rookie trouble some games. He's probably going to lose. Like he's not – I doubt we're going to see another CJ Stroud. I mean, if we do, that'd be fantastic. But I think that's thinking more on the glasses overfilling, glasses full and overfilling. And I like to be a little bit more realistic with it, especially since this is the Bears team who's never had a 4,000-yard passer. So I would probably say 7-9, like 9's the best. And then I would say actually, I'm going to go 6-9. I'll give you like a 3-game in there. But for a rookie quarterback to win 6 games, 7 games, 8 games, that's not that bad, to be honest. Right? That really isn't. So that's I think maybe being realistic. I don't know. I guess people can debate with me, but Dave, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, with Justin, if he's back next year, you have that roster that's overhauled on offense. Like you're going to get a lot of pieces in both free agency. Even the defense will probably get a couple pieces too, maybe a Chase Young. Either way with Justin, I think they are double digits. It sounds crazy, but realistically, the Bears right now, they 6 wins, should be 9, could be fighting for 11 wins possibly on the year if they win, if they don't dramatically lose those 3 games in the way they did, 2 in historic fashion. So for me, Justin, with the roster being even better, himself getting better, and if his health, obviously that's a big key here. If he can play every game, fingers crossed, that'd be great. But say he misses a game or 2. For me, I think it's very realistic actually to get around that 10-11 win mark with him. I don't think that's such crazy expectations, but when you first said it, Ficky, I was like, what? But really, it does make sense. But for Caleb Williams, same thing can be said. They're going to retool this roster either through the draft and free agency, or if they go with Caleb Williams, it's likely going to be through, free agency. Obviously, you'll get a couple. You don't have a second, but maybe bring in a 3rd, 4th, 5th round picks. Maybe one of those hits, and maybe makes a big impact immediately or throughout the season. But I think they're top 10 in cap space too. So for me, they're going to get better. So Caleb, I would say and maybe the expectations for a rookie quarterback might be too high here, but I'm saying 7-9 wins.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
If he's like a Zach Wilson, obviously then you fucked up and you're
fucked, bro.
Yeah, then you're in danger. That meme? I think it's like the Simpsons meme. It's like danger. He's on the bus. Yeah. That would be Bears fans. A little logo on his shirt. But anyways, for me, it's like as long as he's not a big whiff, Caleb should be able to go in there. Obviously, there's going to be growing pains. I don't know what the schedule is going to be like either, but
it actually should be pretty favorable because we're the last in the division. So I think we'll play that means we play every last team in the divisions for the NFC.
Again, though, but that doesn't, sometimes that looks great, but you could still, it's all about when you play teams and health
because
and
every year's different. But one of those teams is the Panthers. So I promise you there's a win there. But yeah.
Yeah. So to answer that question, though, Ian, 10-11 wins for Fields and then about 7-9, 6-9 wins, for Caleb Williams, just because I do think he's a very good quarterback. I think he can make an instant impact. I'm not saying CJ Stroud because that's crazy. You mentioned that, Ficky, that doesn't happen often. However, it does, then it's a different story. So that's where I think those are realistic realistic question. So.
All right, before we go to the next one, we do have another super chat from a boy, John. Appreciate
John,
it.
Man.
$5 here, $5 holla. Appreciate it. He said, plus, I'm mad with everyone in Chicago because if Fields went anywhere else and burned us every game he played, the fan base would be like, oh my God, why'd we do that? Like, spot on. You know what's interesting about this situation? If the worst thing that can happen is Fields goes to Atlanta and plays like well, right? Plays really good, right? I doubt he'll be like exceptional, but plays really good. What's even worse than that is that we pick Caleb Williams and that dude's the next Jamarcus Russell. Now, I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying we've been burned before where we didn't pick the right guy, right? The Texans, maybe the Panthers look in their situation right now and they're like, yo, we didn't pick the right guy either, right? If these evaluations of quarterbacks and getting the right one is definitely hard. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, and it could definitely happen because we are Chicago Bears fans, but my God, I hope it doesn't because my heart can't take that. That's the worst. Hopefully we just get it right. You know what I mean?
That would be easy. Shout out again. Thank you again, John, man. He's at first time in the pod. He's already donated. I appreciate it, man. You guys don't have to, but we obviously appreciate it. We just love obviously talking Bears with you guys. So anyways, though, Ficky, I'm going to get to the next question here. Max on Twitter, he goes, what would you do in Poles' shoes? Keep Fields and keep building around him, or would you draft Caleb or any rookie quarterback? I'm not going to answer every question here, but Ficky, obviously, go ahead and answer this one real quick. I think we've said it, kind of been on the same stance here.
I think they probably go with the number one with Caleb just because it's so hard to get that number one pick and have your choice at anybody you want. Normally, you have to trade up to get your guy. Like the Chiefs, people forget the Chiefs had to trade up to get Mahomes. That's who they wanted. That's who their conviction was. They had to give away capital. Obviously, that's paid out well for them, so who cares about the capital? But Poles is in a situation where he doesn't even have to do that. He can literally say, that's my guy, whoever it is, and say, you're coming to Chicago. Absolutely nothing can stop me. And he was already in the position last year, and he said, I'm not going to do it. I'm not convicted that much to make that decision. This year might be a different story. Now, again, I think me and Dave are on the same page with this. What the fan in us wants is that, let's give Fields a chance. Let's trade that back. Let's get tons of picks. Let's build around the team. But fandom, right? Fan is short for fanatic. So maybe that's not the right move. And I guess to answer that, my sentiment is I trust Ryan Poles. He's done enough so far for me to have trust in him. So whether he goes route A with Caleb or route B with Fields or route C with someone else, I'm going to trust it until proven otherwise. That's where I'm at.
Well said. I agree with you. Scott from Iowa, he on Twitter, he goes, how would you adapt the offense against the Falcons since Mooney and Kmet are out or very limited and DJ is dinged up as well? St. Brown, Jones, and Scott could end up being the top three targets. So I'll start with this, Ficky. First of all, the injury report, Cole Kmet, he did not practice with the knee. Darnell Mooney, concussion, he's likely not going to play. He did not practice. However, the guy, DJ Moore, the number one wide receiver, he is actually not on the injury report. I think he's 100% good now, which is great. You need him, especially if you're going to have two guys that are vital. Well, Kmet, who is vital. I think we saw that in the second half against the Cardinals, what he brings to the table. For me, as far as adapting the offense, I wouldn't – if DJ is healthy, you go to him. I know, it's very simple, cliche, but it's like he is the best player, best playmaker. I want 10 targets. Find ways to get him the ball. Luke Getsy, this is why you get paid a lot of money. Figure it out, man. Get him the ball, slants. And then as far as St. Brown, which I guess he is back, that's awesome. He is full practice this week. So 2 days in a row, Wednesday and Thursday. But him, Jones, and Scott, I like Tyler Scott. Obviously, he's been on the show, friend of the pod. Love to see him get the ball more. Even Bayless Jones Jr., who had, what was it, last week or 2 weeks ago, where he had a whole drive called the Bayless Jones Jr. drive. Gramps put the team on his back on that one, and he had like 30, 40 yards on that Gramps. One. I did. We're like the same age, so shame on me.
Jesus. Sorry. You just suddenly threw that in there, and I was like, oh my gosh.
But no, for real, I think that the Bears just they can't run the ball. Like this we talked about earlier. as far as the preview for this game, which first of all, thank you, Scott, for kind of bringing it back to this game. I know that's part of the pod here is to preview it. But for me, it's like running on this team is going to be difficult. I think Justin's going to get his. I don't know if he's going to top 100, but for me, it's like running the ball, getting the run game going. Perhaps they get it established, but I don't think it's going to be like a consistent thing through 4 quarters. So for me, it's like you're going to have to adjust on the fly. This coaching staff, obviously not the best at it, but if they're going to keep this game, from getting out of hand, because I mean, Atlanta's tough. They've won 7 games. I know they've kind of been, kind of up and down throughout the entire season, but you could say the same thing for the Bears. However, I think both defenses are probably top 10 right now. You could even argue that the Bears are top 5. So for me, as far as adapting, they're going to have to do that throughout the entirety of this game. So perhaps Atlanta Chicago starts off strong. We've seen them 21 straight points against Arizona. And then you're going to have to adapt because, Atlanta, they're going to figure it out. They're going to shut down things that are working early, and then you're going to have to adapt. Otherwise, this game could either be a huge meltdown or, closer than it maybe should be. Because honestly, I'm not going to give away my, predictions here, but I am kind of almost leaning towards the Bears. So what about you, Ficky?
Yeah, I mean, there's, the up and down is like spot on for both these teams. Not the defense. We talked about that. They've been like, the defenses are very stout, but the offense has been like, I think for the Falcons, they've scored over 20 and then they've scored under 10, over 20, under 10. I think the Bears have been something similar, right?
Yeah.
Or like under 15, something of that nature. But so, yeah, these teams on offense have a lot of questions that need answered. But to answer the question, right, you give the ball to DJ Moore. You were spot on. Give the ball to your best player. If you have to force feed him 15 targets, I don't care, right? Obviously, that probably won't happen. We haven't seen that yet. But go do what you did in Washington. I know that's hard, but he can go off for 230, right, if healthy. Force feed him the ball, right?
Yep.
So, or Getsy, be creative. Not on 3rd and 1, not on 4th and 1, which I don't know if you saw the comment by Flus on the presser, but he was basically like, yeah, we just need that one play that we know works consistently, and we'll stick to that, right? Basically calling out Getsy like, yo, all right, it's 3rd and 1. Let's just run the QB power or whatever the hell they want to run, right? That's what the Eagles do, right? Normally there's just the tush push or they have like a QB power or something like that. And it works, right? The cliche saying is don't be scared of a man that knows 1,000 kicks. Be scared of the man who's excelled at one kick, right? So, or something like that. I know I definitely butchered that. But the point is that figure something out. You've got a top 5 wide receiver. You still have Fields, right?
Whoa. You just gonna drop that top 5? DJ Moore?
Oh, statistically,
in the league?
He was top 5 statistically for most of the
season. It's kind of crazy to hear you say that, though.
Top 10 for sure. He may not.
Yeah,
I mean, some people have been out, so like Jefferson doesn't
so many
have the
good
numbers. Jefferson isn't in there because of numbers, but statistically,
I'm sorry.
I think he's proven that he's top 10, right? Top 5, maybe. Okay. I don't care. Like that's whatever. I'm not going to argue that. But how about this? You have a wide receiver 1 on your team that can do amazing things. Give him the ball. Give him the ball, right? So that's my sentiment on it. And then try to run. You got to stick to the run game. I know their run defense is tough, but Khalil had a great game last week. I think Deontay Foreman's back from his personal issues, right? So you'll have your 3-headed run game with Khalil, Deontay, and Roschon Johnson. So let's figure something out. Before we move to the next one, we do have a new super chat from Luis, who said, $5, appreciate it, on YouTube, said one other reason to build around Fields one last year and trade down is because if Fields doesn't pan out, there's no high draft pick in 2025 to save us. Yeah, so that's another thing too, right? When's the next time this team is going to be in a position to draft a quarterback, right? Like a high-end quarterback without having to give up so much to trade up, right? It's very hard to get into this position to be so bad to be able to get your quarterback. Think of like the Falcons, right? Or the Giants, right? You could be in a situation where like a lot of your team is like good enough that you win enough games, but because you win enough games, you put yourself out of contention to get that to replace your quarterback, right? So you think about it with the Bears. Bears were a prime example. They needed a new quarterback. They were picking at 20 because they had done enough with the defense. And Mitch, at the end of the day, was decent enough to win you. He had a winning record, I think, here in Chicago overall above 500. So if you're above 500, you're picking in the 10s, right? To 10s to early 20. And so because of that, you're out of the quarterback position. So if you pass up on Caleb Williams or whoever it is at 1, and you stick with Fields, which I wouldn't be mad about, but Fields doesn't pan out to be that type of guy, and you decide you're not going to go the Daniel Jones route, right? Where you pay him money and that you probably shouldn't. And instead you're like, we're in the market for QB. Now you're in that QB carousel because now your team, I doubt they're going to be worse. They haven't regressed, right? Your team's now going to be picking 10 through 15. And now you can't get that guy. Well, you can get anyone anywhere, right? We've learned that in the NFL. Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant. But the likelihood of finding that guy, the chances are a lot harder because the top prospects for quarterbacks all go top 5, top 10. So that's another side of the coin you have to think about on how from a GM perspective, how likely are you going to be up in this position again? Right. And first off, will you even be here if that's the case as well? Because if Fields doesn't pan out and you decide to stick with them when your contract's up, you might be out of here anyway. So I don't know, but great question. Great question.
Yeah. First of all, Luis, I want to give him a shout out because it is a great question, but also he is always tagging me on all the Bears news, like on Twitter. Like I'm on Twitter pretty actively, but if this is the same Luis, which I'm almost positive, just because the Twitter account and the last name on here on the YouTube, it's too much of a coincidence. But first of all, if that is you, thank you, man. I do not miss a thing with you, and I appreciate it. So, and also the super chat. But Dan's Den, I want to bring up this one next here, Ficky, if that's all right. We have
that's the Bears Den, by the way.
Oh, duh.
No, you're good. You're good. No, because my first saw because he was he did a new face gang on here, so I almost read it like that, how you said it, but yeah, it's good.
I appreciate it. So
yeah, no problem.
So he says, say Poles is trading down no matter what. Which offer do you take for the first pick? So he cooked up 2 trade proposals, which I love.
I love that. We love
absolutely love these. I think it's the best I can get it for our YouTube videos. You're gonna have to deal with it. So we have Raiders Max Crosby. They give up Max Crosby, number 11. 2024 second and a 2025 first. And then, or we have the Falcons who are trading up. Grady Jarrett, number 10 overall pick in 2023, a 2024 second, a 25 first, and a 26 first.
Wow, those are actually both good. Max Crosby is the more premier player, right? Grady Jarrett has actually been a pretty decent defensive tackle.
And he's a defensive tackle. Obviously he's a little older though.
Is he? Because I thought
look
it up for me. You might be right. You might be right. Max Crosby's I think Max Crosby would be Khalil Mack age when we traded for Mack. I think he's like 26, 27. I think Max Crosby is. So you look those up while I talk about this. So basically, you're getting for the Raiders one, you're getting a better player, trading to 11, which is one spot less than the 10th, which I'm not too worried about. But you're not getting a first, which makes sense because Crosby is like a top 5 defensive end.
Well, yeah. So, Max Crosby's 26 years old. Real quick, Grady Jarrett is 30. And he has 1.5.
Wow, he's that old now?
That's what I'm saying. Goodness. Yeah, I thought he was a little
remember
older.
when he got drafted. That's crazy. Wow, okay.
But that makes sense why you're getting that the little bit more draft
second
capital.
First. So basically it's one less.
I think
first.
It's easy.
I gotta go Raiders, dude. Right? You're getting Max Crosby.
You go and get Max Crosby, dude.
Because you know what a first is great, but again, a first is a scratch off. You know what you're getting with Max Crosby. Just like when Poles went and traded with Montez Sweat, you know what you're getting with Sweat, right? I'd rather buy on guarantee, or nothing's guaranteed in the league, but buy on something that be more statistically sound than buy on a risk of what you can possibly get, right? Think about it. Think of what Poles has brought in here. Think about it. What Poles has brought in here that has played in the league for a minute. DJ Moore he traded for. That was good. Montez Sweat has panned out as well, right? Even if you look at Claypool, he traded for Claypool, and statistically, we knew what Claypool was. And when he came here, he stayed the same. So those are still all 3 good examples of why you want to trade for something you know. You knew Claypool was an issue. He came in, you took a flyer on him. He still ended up being an issue, right? You knew how good Montez was. He ended up playing, he's still good. You knew how good DJ Moore was. He ended up playing still well, or if not, both of them actually have played better in Chicago. So absolutely, I'm getting the full tatted Max Crosby in the navy and orange, right? There's like no question about it. So what about you? I mean, I think you agree, but
no, yeah, you got to go Max Crosby here. I love the extra first. I get it, but it's like you saw what DJ Moore did to this Bears offense. I mean, he's already a true number one, top 5 wide receiver according to Ficky, top 10 according to Dave. Put you on blast there, Ficky. No, I actually agree with you. Outside of DJ Moore, I really think he might be top 5. But it's so debatable. When it comes to receivers, it's all debatable when you get up to that top 10. But Max Crosby, all jokes aside, he is legit. 26 years old. Pair him with Montez Sweat. Good God, dude. Yeah.
Good luck, QBs.
Well,
Good luck.
Shout out to Danny DeVito right there. His flash in the pans. It's so weird how these quarterbacks, like, I know I'm getting off topic here. Danny DeVito, all of a sudden, like,
wait,
up and coming.
Isn't that the actor?
Am I getting wrong here? Tommy. Is it Tommy DeVito?
Tommy. Yeah, Tommy. No, Danny's great. I think Danny's the actor. The famous actor, but from Always Sunny and other
Tommy,
stuff. But
anyways, now he's benched. It's just like that, man. Like, it's similar. We've had 2 of these like rising stars, for like 3 weeks. We had who was the astronaut that the Bears broke?
Josh
Dobbs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you got the Tommy DeVito, not Danny DeVito. Anyway,
I was like, that sounds right, but maybe not. But no, you're good.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Anyways,
you gotta bring in.
Look how sick this photo is that I found on Fields.
Yo, I was gonna say that when you first brought it up. I'm like, yo, that's such a fire photo, dude. That's beautiful.
Can you see how much they hate him?
Love him. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. They
right.
There's people that love Fields.
It's just Twitter. I feel like it's just so toxic sometimes. So we brought up that one.
Before you go to the next one, go ahead and find the next one. We do have another super chat. I think this might be a record. And also on a pregame show, like, I appreciate it. Like, postgame makes sense, but thank y'all for this.
I'll get the next question.
Philip Charles Vander Hayden IV. That last name is fire. Vander Hayden IV makes it sound like you're royalty, by the way. Seriously. That's fire. But yeah, thank you for joining. And I think you might be new. If you are, go ahead and give us a hashtag new face gang. And for everyone else joining, do that as well. Really appreciate it. We'll give you a shout out. But he sent in a $4.99 super chat that said, top 3 teams in the NFCs have QB selected after the first round. Built for sustained success, first and foremost, I prefer their blueprint. Now, Dave, this is actually for you. And thank you, Philip. Really appreciate that. The video I was watching, which I think Philip probably got was from Lawrence and Holmes Lawrence Holmes, and I can't remember his name, on 670 The Score. Can't remember it. But Lawrence Holmes was basically talking about how the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFC all have picks all of their quarterback picks were drafted outside the first round. So if you look at Eagles, Cowboys, and 49ers, Brock Purdy was picked in the 7th round, right? Mr. Irrelevant. Then you have Eagles, who have Jalen Hurts, who was picked in the 2nd round. And then you also have Cowboys, who's Dak, and he was picked in the 4th round. So you do see success that way, right? But then if you go to the AFC side, a different story. You have the Bills with Josh Allen, he's top 15. The Dolphins with Tua, he's top 15. You have Trevor Lawrence, who's number 1. He may not be the top. I'm just kind of going through. You have Patrick Mahomes, who was top 15. And you have, who's some top AFC teams I'm missing? Why can't I think of them? But yeah, it's basic. It's
the top like, AFC teams?
Yeah, in the league.
You said Baltimore, right?
Oh, Baltimore. There you go. So they are
you said Miami?
Yep, said Miami, Baltimore, and Chiefs. And there might be one more I'm missing. Dolphins. But all 4 of those teams, their quarterbacks were first-round picks. All
the Bills?
50. Bills, yep. I said them as well.
Okay.
Actually, I think Lamar was picked in the 20s, if I remember correctly. But either way, all of their quarterbacks.
I thought he was real late. Wasn't he 31? 30?
Yeah, he may have been super late. You're right. But the point is that it's the complete opposite on the AFC side. All of their quarterbacks are drafted in the first round and they're seeing success. But on the NFC side, the top 3 teams in that division, all of their quarterbacks,
32nd overall pick, Lamar Jackson.
There you go.
About to be a 2-time MVP.
So I think this kind of shows that why there's been so much discussion, so much debate back and forth, because you can see you can win multiple ways. You can find a quarterback later, like Russ, right? Russ won a Super Bowl. He was a third rounder, I think, right? You can win a Super Bowl with quarterbacks that are not picked in the first round, and you build around them. But then if you look at the other side, you can win a Super Bowl with quarterbacks who were picked in the first round. Look at the Rams. They won 2 years ago. Now they traded for Matthew Stafford, but Matthew Stafford was the number 1 pick overall, if I'm not correct. And then if you look at the Lions right now, the Lions are balling out. Jared Goff was number 1 overall as well. And I know he hasn't had like the most awesome career, but he's balling out right now. And then you look at the Bengals, who went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Joe Burrow was number 1 overall. And I mean, no one's debating whether Joe Burrow's good. So there's 2 sides of the coin. Either one can work. It'll be, no one really knows. And that's why this debate will go on until April 25th or whenever the first night is of the draft. So thanks for that super chat as well, Philip. We really do appreciate it. Oh, you're on mute, Dave.
Oh, okay. My bad. Yeah. So John Collins over here. Can the Bears still make the playoffs? We talked about it earlier. I think they have like a 1% chance.
1%?
1 to 3% chance. I wanted to bring up, so my wife over here went ahead and sent me this gift. I'm not going to show it on my phone, but she texted me during the pod. I was like, what? I got it like 2 in a row. And she sent me this gift with Danny DeVito.
I was wondering what you were laughing. I'm like, he must have got something.
Oh,
funny.
You see that? Yeah. I was like,
oh
man, I was way off, man. Not even.
No,
close.
You're good. I think you got the last one right. I mean, Italian, but yeah. You imagine Danny DeVito out there throwing football.
Darts.
The man's like 5'4", bro. That would be tough.
You're like Kyler Murray out there. Anyways, facts. What is the running back situation? Do we draft, sign, or trade? This is from Kyler Fuller, the real Kyle Fuller. Shout out to him. Or is it perfectly fine the way it is now?
You're not. I'm against trading for a running back. You can find running backs in any draft.
I wouldn't be, for me personally, and this isn't the real Kyle Fuller for our Apple Spotify's. I was just kidding. Of course, this is a little Stan account here, but for me, I don't know if you draft one. I don't know if you sign one either, but like, I wouldn't mind a more explosive. I love Herbert, and he looked a lot better against the Cardinals. I thought he looked finally healthy, which is great. So if that's the Herbert we get, absolutely no reason to kind of change up the situation. You really can find these guys. Deontay Foreman, you may even bring him back. It's not a bad room at all. And I think the health plays a part as far as production goes. And maybe we had high expectations for them coming in, maybe to be a little bit better. So for me, I don't think you don't have to go out of your way. But for me, if there is an upgrade maybe in free agency, maybe throw $5-8 million, try to get a little bit more dynamic back. But what are you laughing at, Ficky?
No, sorry. I know I'll get to that, but I agree with your sentiment overall. I think that we have a pretty good running back room. We will lose Deontay Foreman. So if you're going to bring anyone back or like free agent, just bring him back. He's shown he can be a great running back. But the comment
I think I know what you're laughing at.
Colt Smith said Danny DeVito would be the football, which is, that was funny. So Colt Smith, that's a funny comment. But but here we go. I think this is great. Chris N on YouTube, thanks for the comment. He said if Deontay Foreman leaves, then draft a running back. I agree. That might be the cheaper route. I'm like, either draft a new running back just to have in the room. I think you should always draft running backs. And then if not, just re-sign Deontay Foreman. So that's kind of where I'm at. And then also real quick, for Philip Charles Vander Hayden, the 4th, thanks again for the super chat. But you also said it's not that we definitely shouldn't draft 1-at-1, which is 1-at-1. That's kind of hard to read, but just that we aren't doomed if we don't, which I agree completely. And he also gave a hashtag new face gang. So first off, agree with the comment. Second, a lot of super chats for the first time, like first time people, like, yo, round of applause. I really appreciate it. Thank you all for hopping in. You guys didn't have to do that. We appreciate any support that we can get. And perfect transition. If you are enjoying the show, if you enjoyed Dave and I's personalities talking everything Bears and our opinions, whether right or wrong, which sometimes a lot of them are wrong, but go ahead and give a thumbs up. Go ahead, subscribe to the channel. It is free. And then you can turn on the notification bell at the top right, I believe, on the YouTube, so you don't miss a show when we go live. And then also to our Apple and Spotify and all the other podcast platforms. If you're listening, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Please go ahead and give us a review on there. I have seen some reviews on there and a lot of 5 stars. So we really do appreciate that. And if you have some criticism as well, like, let us know. We're always here to improve the show and make the show better for you guys. So we appreciate everyone that's here today. Thank you guys for rocking with us, especially on a Thursday night with these Thursday night games, even though it is Joe Flacco out there right now.
And it's actually the last one of the season.
Yeah.
I'm not
Which
mistaken.
is crazy, like that we're already at the end of the season.
Dude.
Not more crazy than Joe Flacco coming back and playing better than what he played like at the end of his years in the NFL. Like, what is going on? It's crazy, but
absolutely. But yeah, I agree with all that. If you guys are enjoying the pod, first of all, love the support. We appreciate it. But if you, another way, you don't even have to give money. If you just hit the like button right now, if you're on Apple, Spotify, check us out on YouTube and vice versa. If you're on YouTube and you haven't checked out Apple, Spotify, or even just want to go and leave a review, we appreciate it. So again, you can check out the pod as well on BFR_pod on all socials. We have our TikTok, Instagram over there. Ficky does a great job kind of running that. And so, but man, we have so many more questions to get to. We might have to save this for, we'll do a little bit more, and then I'm going to save this. I'll bookmark it, and we'll do, obviously we have the post-game pod, and we'll probably have a lot to talk about there.
We can do the next pregame.
Yeah. And maybe we can get a couple more. We'll sprinkle a couple in maybe in the post-game pod too, perhaps. We'll see how much time we have, but we'll get to a few more for sure. But this one's from Strangely Unnamed on Twitter. Bears keep everyone except for Getsy, trade first pick, get a haul of picks, new OC, Flus is retained as DC. No way.
With play
Flus is retains DC plus play calling duties. So is he the head coach?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
I think so, because I don't see a new head coach. So I guess he's still the DC. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but let's go with it here. Influx of talent from free agency plus draft plus development of players should result in a improved roster. What kind of ceiling are we looking at? Playoff minimum. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah,
thick.
But let me. We can still answer a little part of this. So
yeah,
I think there is a possibility. Actually, I don't know if you saw Brad Biggs' article, and he's pretty in tune with the team. It seems like signs are pointing to Flus is coming back. So that is him. Us retaining Flus is probably the most realistic comment on there. Him remaining DC, though, is interesting. I would not be mad about that. There are plenty of teams where especially with offensive head coaches, where they also run the offense. I mean, look at Kyle Shanahan in San Fran. Like, he is the offensive coordinator. Andy Reid in Kansas City, even though this year Nagy kind of is the OC, but like for a lot of the times he was calling the plays. So, or he is kind of like the head of that ship. So it's not out of the possibility that Flus comes back and stays DC. So I'm okay with that. You get a first pick and a haul of pick. So if you, let's see. So new OC, absolutely. We need that. I think we both agree with that. Trade the first pick and get a haul of picks. That means we're sticking with Fields. So this is the build around Fields with the new offensive coordinator. My only issue here is if we're going to stick with Fields, I know this sounds crazy. I kind of want consistency. So would you not bring back Getsy? Because you don't want the situation where now it's going to be the third offensive coordinator in 4 years, right? That's kind of tough. You look at Herbert in the Chargers and look how that's panned out. Even though he's played well, it hasn't led to wins or success. So it's like, if we bring back Fields, this might be the real question. If we bring back Fields and Flus, don't you have to bring back Getsy too? What's your thoughts?
There was a piece too, Adam. I think it was Adam Johns. Shout out to him. He's one of the goats on just Bears media, but he had a great piece about Luke Getsy not really being, on Twitter, he's really ridiculed, and you could say rightfully so, as far as opinion there, but around the league, he's actually kind of respected still, has a little bit of value. So I wonder how he is looked at in this Bears organization. So if you do bring back Justin, you bring back Flus, I really think Getsy is probably coming back just for to go ahead and keep the consistency, like you said, Ficky. I think it's a big deal. We saw what happened to Jay Cutler. You talked about Justin Herbert, which big cat over there talking about starting the trade rumors, having, Justin Herbert.
It's not happening.
No,
not happening. But that's great. I mean, good content. We're here for it.
But no, I agree. I think as far as the playoffs minimum, absolutely. We could have been there this year. I think you have to expect that if you
said double digit
and you go the route.
Double digit win. Sorry.
Yeah, get you in.
Yeah, double digit wins. I think we both said 10 or so. That's playoff bound, right? You're especially this year. You look at there's so many teams fighting for in the hunt, and some of them are under 500. So yeah, you get double digit wins, you're in the playoffs.
Vic, do you want to bring up that BFR question? Because I actually have
Yep. So where is it? Here we go. From John Collins. He said, "What does BFR stand for?" You can go ahead and answer that, Dave.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring it up here. So it's a really good question. So BFR, long story short, it's Bears Film Room. That's what it originally started with. And kind of, if you ever want to read more in depth, if you go to our Twitter here or even our Instagram, we have a link tree. You can click it. It's going to bring this up right here. And it actually has the question because we get it quite a lot. What is BFR? You click it here. And it brings you to this page. It's again presented by Sports Mockery. It's a BFR podcast. It's about the X's and O's. It's about everything Bears related. Obviously, we wanted to dive deep into the film and everything, but as far as podcasts go, that's not the easiest way to go about it. So we do our best to kind of post games. We talk about it. We give our hot takes. Obviously we go through all the emotions. We try to do some segments. We have lots of cool guests, especially in the off season. During the season, everyone's so busy. Kyle Brandt, all these guys just locked in with their own type of, content they are creating as well. So a lot of fun guests. But if you want to read more about what the BFR podcast, how it was founded, you want to read more about myself, even Ficky here. Look at this great little photo. And then there's just all the information. You could check it all out again on the link tree that's on our Instagram, TikTok, BFR, Twitter. It's all right there. So long story short, Bears Film Room is what it stands for. We just call it BFR. It's a little bit shorter instead of having to say that every single time. So, but very, very, very good question. We get that, obviously a little bit here and there. So,
yeah. Before we go, we have another super chat, by the way.
Hell yeah.
I think I'm sorry. I'm just kind of surprised. It's like the fifth one, I think, or
sixth, seventh. I don't know.
Thank y'all. This is from Jarrell.
Appreciate
499 super chat on YouTube. Shout out you, Jarrell. Really appreciate it. His question is, what do you think is more plausible? Poles hasn't made up his mind on Justin's future. Justin is safe, or Poles isn't sold on Caleb Williams or May. So just to repeat, the three options are Poles hasn't decided yet, right? He really isn't sure. He needs to, let time pass and make a decision. You think Justin is safe, or he's not sold on Caleb Williams or May. What do you think is the most plausible situation?
So what do you think is Poles hasn't made up his mind on Justin's future? So for me, I don't think Poles has made up his mind on Justin or on the future of the Bears. I think there's too many variables right now that are still in play about what is the packages that he's going to get as far as, what team is going to be desperate enough to maybe blow him away where it's like, I love Caleb Williams, but 4 first-round picks or 3 and a player, there could be an historic type haul. You look at the Broncos who just benched Russell Wilson. There's going to be the Commanders who just benched Sam Howell. I mean, it is going to get crazy. The Bears, if they do lock in the number 1 pick this week, I mean, there's so many variables, and that's one of the biggest ones for me is like, what could you get for that number 1 pick? Because it could be more than last year. And so for me, it's like, Ryan Poles, and I think he's very, very smart, and I like what he's doing. You're a big fan of his. You've actually stood your ground on him, even when people were kind of turning, a little bit early on in the season. You were one of the ones that stuck with it. And so for me, Ryan Poles, if he really believes in building through the draft, what better way to do it than to get an insane amount of draft capital? And it's like, yeah, sure, we might not have the best quarterback in the NFL, but we don't have to. Justin's good enough where you can surround him with an insane amount of talent because of the way that he is setting himself up with these teams. And the funny thing is, say you trade again with a team, and they're bad again next year,
that
first year getting that, you could be another top 5 pick, and you just keep loading up. Or say Justin shits the bed next year and whatever, then you go and maybe take you can either trade for a quarterback that's unhappy, like a Justin Herbert. Who knows what he's going to be in next year? What if he's unhappy and he requests a trade? You just don't know. So for me, I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's made up his mind. And Ficky, you've actually said kind of one of your hot takes was, hey, the decision's been made, and maybe it has. We don't know. But for me, I really do believe that the options are still out there, as far as it could be Caleb, it could be Drake, it could be Justin. We don't know. So
yeah, I think you make a good point and a good devil's advocate to my hot take that Poles knows. And I think what is the biggest thing, which he doesn't know, is the value he can get in return, right? I think there's been a decision that he's going to explore options. I think it's the least plausible one out of these is that Justin Fields is safe. I don't think anything says that Justin Fields is safe. I think he's going to look at what he can get for the first and see what the market is for Fields. Whether he keeps Fields or not, I guarantee he's already doing this. When we get to the combine, that's where a lot of the trades go down, like a lot of the discussions, and they seal the deal and whatnot. That, like, I think he's waiting for that, and then he's going to get a lot of information, and I think then he's going to decide, well, is that enough for me to do? I think he's made his decision on that he can possibly move on from Fields and draft someone else. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it is possible, right? So I think you nailed it perfectly with that. There's so many variables. Like, if you get a first for Fields, sorry, Fields, you're gone. See ya. Like, I love you, bro, but you're gone. If you're telling me I can get Caleb Williams, I still have my first, which is a top 10 pick, right? And then I also have another first. Yeah, you're gone. There's 3 firsts. I get my quarterback. I can, like, that's such a huge, you don't have to even do a trade back, right? Because you got a first in return. So if a deal is too good to be true, he's taking it. You know what I mean? And Fields will be gone because you have that first pick overall. But that doesn't mean it's going to happen. If you don't really get what you need, then, who knows? We got a lot of time. Poles doesn't know yet, which probably makes my hot take sound stupid, but he doesn't know the value of what people are offering for sure, which he may not know even until the last day of the draft. So, the first day of the draft. So, got a long time, Dave. We got 4 months to figure this out. So, mute.
Second time. This is what happens when we get to go. We're going for almost an hour and a half here, and I'm just continuing keeping myself on mute. But I think we're in a great spot. I think sounds weird to say that I'm grateful, but like, the Bears have been in some shitty scenarios just like a couple of years ago when Mitch and Nagy, to be in this situation. I know it's not fun to have to actually it is kind of fun for me, because I don't really debate with people in regards to Fields, Caleb. I just like to see what everyone kind of is talking about, see how they feel. If it's constructive, if they're adding to the conversation, like, oh, I didn't really think about that. That is appealing, in regards to Caleb Williams or Drake May and all these stats. But for me, it's like, I don't have an agenda push. I really don't. Obviously, I love Fields. He's the quarterback of the Chicago Bears right now. I want one of my biggest, things right now that I want is to beat Green Bay in Week 18. I don't know why. I just want to. That's what's on my mind. So for me,
you always want to beat Green Bay. We should.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that would be if he does go out here, right? Go out the right way, man. Beat Green Bay. Say you did it. Same with Eberflus, who is, I think, 0-4 against the Packers right now, or 0-5. I don't think he's beat Green Bay. So it's like, if you guys are both gone, let's go out and let's fucking do this thing. Let's get that would be 8 wins on the season. Sure. You said 8, I think 8 wins early on when we did our record predictions early back in May. Ficky, we were both like, that would be a win. Yeah. That's a good season. So all in all, it is what it is. We have so many more questions, which we're going to hold that to either the post-game pod on Sunday, or more than likely what Fick said is where we'll go ahead and do next Tuesday or Wednesday, where we'll finish up and do the rest of these questions. But if you guys enjoyed the show, go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say, I do have an agenda to push. I do. I'm not going to lie.
I know you do. You're sick of
I want the Bears to win. My agenda is winning football. I don't care what route it is. I don't care who's at quarterback, who's head coach. All that stuff doesn't matter. If it equals or results in winning football, that's all I care about. So like how you said, I love hearing all these different perspectives, because It is good. I learn new stuff. We learn new stuff. We don't know what equals winning football, right?
Yeah.
We may have an idea, but this is the NFL, bro. Crazy shit happens all the time. So I don't care what happens as long as Poles makes the right decisions that leads to this team winning more games next season, more games the following season, and then one day holding up a Super Bowl trophy. I could give two shits.
I love it. That's a good agenda, though. That's a refreshing agenda. Anyways, let's get to.
Sorry, last one to read. Tareen said, Ficky spent too much on those tickets. You're damn right I did. Way too much.
You went to how many games did you go to this year?
They went to four, and they won one.
Last one
they
I went
won
to was
one.
the last one was traveled to Kansas City to watch, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. That was the beginning of their relationship, and the Bears got blown out. That was fucking terrible, dude. That was such a bad moment for me. Anyways, it was fun to be with my uncle. It was, first of all, Arrowhead is an awesome atmosphere, great stadium. Tailgating was great. But Ficky, we gotta finish up here. We got 5. Let's do this all in 5 minutes. Bold predictions. If you guys have any bold predictions you want to throw in the chat, go ahead and throw them in. We'll go ahead and throw them up on the screen as we're going through ours. Ficky, I'm gonna let you start, man.
All right, bold prediction here. This is Justin Fields' audition day. He shows up, he balls out. All right. And what I mean by that is I don't think he's going to get 300 yards, but I'm going to say something like he eclipses that 200 passing yard, 0 turnovers, right? And we talked about this defense hasn't given up 200 passing yards in 4 games. He's going to rush like 20 to 50 yards. So overall, he's going to have a total yardage of like 250 plus to like close to 300 with 0 turnovers, which is a key point. And I think there's going to be a little bit of motivation to show this team, look, if I'm not starting next year, come and get me. Okay.
So I like that one. I'm actually going to go crazy here because if I'm right, I look like a genius. If I'm wrong, it is what it is, I think. I'm going to say Justin Fields. Last year, he rushed for the most yards by a quarterback with 178 versus the Dolphins. I think he breaks that.
That's crazy.
180, baby. I don't know. I'm just I was sitting here. Right. I was going through my bold predictions. I'm like, you know what? What better way? We haven't seen Justin really break out. However, he's had 200 yards rushing or 200 yard plus rushing games this year. Last week, he was starting to get in the groove. He had 30 yard run, I think, taken back. So he had 107 total last week. You take that 1 yard, that 30 yard that he gets, I think it was a hold. It was a terrible hold on Lucas Patrick, at center. And so for me, that's over 100. He's over almost 140 yards right there. So for me, or 137, for me, I'm like, this could be a crazy game as far as like maybe he gets 150, 60 yard run. And he just kind of gets in a groove because, Justin, he kind of gets going. And I know this is crazy to even think that he could break that. But he did it at Soldier Field against the Dolphins. Why not do it again? I don't know what the weather's like.
It can be done.
That could play. That could play a factor, but
it's definitely possible. Last season said enough that he can do it any game he wants. So yeah, it's not too far fetched.
Man, I don't know. I'm just being crazy. That's my one. One more bold prediction from you and I, and then we'll get to our game predictions for the Bears Falcons.
I think I got to go the turnover battle on the other side. I think we're getting 2 interceptions. It's Taylor Heineke. This defense has been playing well. I just think they can force him to throw 2 interceptions. I think it's very possible. Team is second in the NFL with interceptions with like 18 or 19.
Jesus. So that's funny you said that, man. So we got Luis over here. So I keep making predictions for JF and Dave's Twitter, and each time it blew up my face. Absolutely. I mean, if you go back and look at Ficky and I's bold predictions, which next year we told we're gonna have an Excel tracker, and I'm gonna put our predictions in, and at the end of the game, I'll put red or green, and we're gonna see kind of what, so we can maybe there'll be like a.
It's not gonna be pretty. It's gonna look like the 2019 NFL record. That's how bad we're gonna be missing.
But if we keep, I want to keep track so we can, maybe whoever wins, whoever's the best percentage or whatever, they'll have to be. Change their Twitter profile or something like that. Something crazy. Maybe we can get that. Anyways, I'm going with interceptions too, because on my article, I'm coming out tomorrow for my bold predictions for tomorrow or for Sunday's game. I have Jalen Johnson getting away with 2 picks.
Okay.
He did it, 5 or 6 weeks ago. I think he's going to do it again. That would bring his total for the season 6 interceptions, which I guess that doesn't help. That does not help the price tag with the Bears, but I really do believe. Yeah. And Tyler Haneke, he may be starting. If he is, he could be turnover prone as far as, this week, but he may not start. So we could be the backup.
We'll see. Either way,
Who knows?
so we're getting some turnovers. I think our defense has shown that. We're getting something. We have to.
So bowl or final game predictions. Before we get to that, again, shout out to everyone that's kind of been in the chat. It's been live on a Thursday night. We appreciate it. If you enjoyed the pod, you want to stick around, subscribe, hit the like button if you enjoy the content. Check us out on Apple, Spotify, of course. We got a bunch of listeners over there. If that's the way you go about, your pods, totally understand. Leave a review if you can. I know it's weird, but it does help the kind of algorithm over there as well. And follow Ficky on all socials. It's Ficky Baby, and then myself, of course. And then, of course, if you want to follow the pod, that's the best way. That has our handles there, all of our information as far as giveaways and everything. But the Bears are 3-point favorites versus the Falcons. It's at Soldier Field. Over and under is at 38 points. It's at Soldier Field. Like I said, Falcons are 5-10, and the Bears are 7.
No,
what is that right?
No, Falcons are 7. They have 7 wins. So
shame on BetMGM.
With the 7 and 8, I think.
Yeah, I think we're 7. They're 7 and 8, and we're 6 and what?
9.
9, I think. Yeah, going for yeah. So that's more like either way. They're 3-point favorites. Vicky, do you want to start, or you want me to start as far as the
my predictions is I think it's not going to be that. These are two good defenses. We saw this previously with the Browns game, right? Where two good defense, and it was lower scoring. So,
right.
Browns has held teams under 16 points last 4 games. I'm going to say 24-21 Bears. That's what I'm doing. I think we can win this. Wow. I think we're going to win this. I think it's going to be a nail biter. But it's not going to be that high scoring. Trenton Gill's going to be putting a good amount.
Okay. I was going to go 24 as well. So I'm going to up it 27-24 Bears. I think it's going to be close, man. I think it's going to be a fun game. Oh, yeah. Another bold prediction I kind of had, I guess I'll give it a sneak peek. I think this game goes in overtime for some reason, man. Like I said, I try to get a little unique and creative with the bold predictions because, like, as you get into like week 16, week 17, man, I do this article every week, bold predictions. I'm like, I'm running out of shit. And I'm like, I try to be, something fun. And so I think this one, I don't want it to go overtime, but at the same time, kind of would be unique as long as we win this. If we go to overtime, you just got to win.
Yeah, if we lose in overtime, that's gonna suck. But yeah, I mean, hey, if it's overtime, we win. It's cool. I'm not mad about it. At the end of the day, like, this team is decent.
There we go. Throw that comment up there. Chris N. He says Santos with the game-winning kick. Absolutely. Money talks.
Sorry. Let's. Hell yeah, he's been great. So I wouldn't be mad about that at all. So, hey, like I said, as long as we win, that means we're one game closer to 8 wins. And in the season, we get to 8 wins. That's a pretty successful season in my book. I don't care what anybody says.
8 wins, 9 wins, and you. Oh, you can't get 9. 8 wins, and you get the number 1 pick?
That's what I was just about to say. 8 wins, and you have the number 1 pick?
You better, if we get 8 wins and we get the number 1 overall pick, I don't know how many times we just said that in a row, but you better tweet that because that's great, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, you know how hard that is to do? The number 1 pick, you're typically garbage, bro. You're under 3-4 wins. But
we saw it last year.
So this is great. Yeah, that's what it was. 3 wins. So
3 wins knock you the pick, so. But
I'm happy.
Absolutely. Again, we appreciate it. Ficky, anything else before we get out here, man?
Nah, that's it. I'm ready. I'm ready for this game. Let's get a win and go into 2024 with a bang. So,
absolutely. Hell yeah. All right, Bears, Falcons, we'll see you on Sunday. We'll be right after the game around, what? Is it a noon game, Ficky, I believe?
Yeah, it's a noon game.
So around 3:30, 4 o'clock like we typically always are. We'll be here no matter what. Again, we appreciate the love, and we'll see you guys Sunday.
Peace.